Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Ena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kathamakhyam Tadanti Swapadhantikam E Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhano Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye वाञ्छाकल्पतरूपस्य कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरुयुगपदकमलं श्रीगुरुन् वैष्णवां च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सगगन रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादां सगगन ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च जय श्री कृष्णा चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 रामा 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 रामा 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 रामा रामा हरे 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 कृष्ण Hare Krishna Mataji, are you able to hear me?
Hare Krishna Mataji, whom are you talking to? Sorry, I couldn't hear anything. Are you talking to me?
Hare Krishna Mataji, we can hear you.
Thanks, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Arya Govind Prabhu, please take over. Today you are the host. Hare Krishna Prabhu, can you hear us?
Hare Krishna, yes, Mataji, now.
Yes, we've done the Mangla Charan. Please take over. We are on text. We are on 1.6.23. We are waiting for Mataji to join, but we can read the text, translation and purport till she comes. Prabhuji, kindly take over.
Okay, Mataji. This is today's, we are on Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, 6th chapter, verse number 23, right?
Yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, we can't hear. Maybe I can start till you, maybe you have internet challenges. Okay, so we are reading the Srimad Bhagavatam. We are on Canto 1, Chapter 6, Text 23. Let's start with the verse. Avinash Prabhuji, are you able to read the verse for us? Okay.
Hare Krishna Mataji, I can't read at the moment because I'm suffering from COVID today.
Yes,
So
yes.
I'll just take it easy. So I'm just
Yes.
listening to the class. Okay.
Yes, Prabhu.
Hare
Thank you.
Krishna.
Thank you very much. We pray that
Okay.
you all get well soon.
Thank you.
We have Mataji who has joined us. Hare Krishna, Mataji, Danvat Pranam. Please accept our humble obeisances on
Hare
behalf of everybody in this group. Mataji, we are on reading the Srimad Bhagavatam. We are on Canto 1, Chapter 6, Text 23. We hand over to you, Mataji. Prahlad Prabhu, are you able to host today? I think Arya Govind Prabhuji is having problems with his internet, and same over here.
Yes, Mataji.
Okay. Arya Govind Prabhu, are you there? Are you able to now?
I'm there, Mataji, but my internet is not stable. So I think Prahlad Prabhu can take over, Prabhu, Mataji.
Okay, Prabhu. We both are in the same boat. Okay, so Prahlad Prabhu, kindly take over. Mataji has come and we have welcomed her. And Mataji, we hand over to you. We are on Canto 1, Chapter 6, Text 23 today. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So let's get started with our prayers. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurumilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschayata Deshadarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Shrunvata Swagata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Kritayantastohi Apatrani Vidunoti Sugratsatam Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Sloke Bhakti Bhavati Naishtiki. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All right. So let's get started with our today's verse, as Mataji mentioned, and it's a very important verse. And first of all, let me just, I think we went over till verse 15, if I'm not mistaken, 15 or 13 from last time. But just to kind of give you an idea, so Narada Muni's life, meditation, and vision of the Lord is being portrayed from verses 11 to 19. And from 11 to 13, we see that Lord actually travels, Narada Muni actually travels through variety of Lord's creation. And then 14 to 19 is talking about Narada Muni's meditation on the super soul, seeing the form of the Lord, and then he loses that form of the Lord. And then you can see from 20 to 25, what's happening is the Lord instructs and he is consoling Narada Muni. So you cannot see me again in this lifetime. This is what is said in 20 to 22. Probably you'd have seen it yesterday. And then 23 to 25, which is today's verse, is going to talk about even a little bhakti is also great. Even the time factor cannot destroy it. So it's a concept of Neha Vikramanasasti, right? Whatever little bhakti you do in this lifetime, it is not going to get wasted. So that is the point that we are going to that is the theme we are going to see in today's section. So going through verses from 20 to 23, so that we can kind of get the flow in depth. So seeing my attempts, the Lord, who is inexpressible by words, spoke to me with gravity and pleasing words to mitigate my grief, which is Lord consoling Narada. And he says, you will not see me again in this lifetime. Those who are incomplete in service, immature, and not free from material things cannot see me. Narada Muni, so this is what is the case. So again, it's not the case with Narada Muni, but then to increase the desire for me, I showed myself once to you. The more one hankers for me, the more he will be freed from material desires. So it is definitely noted that Narada Muni had no material desires, being at the level of prema already. But by saying this, the Lord has increased his humility. That's all. However, Narada's infant state of prema in Sadhaka Deha has to mature to a youthful state of prema in the Siddha Deha, in longing separation. Again, I think you would have spoken about the concept of Sadhana Deha and Siddha Deha, and what is happening here. And Lord, he's trying to obviously increase his humility, because already we know we have seen the stages that he's gone through. He's already come to the level of prema. But so here it is specifically noted, Narada's infant state of prema in Sadhaka Deha has to mature to a youthful state of prema in Siddha Deha. All right. So the youthful prema allows the devotee to see the Lord constantly and serve him directly. So how he's, how he has increased his hankering is something that we can take as a lesson from verse number 22. And then 23, that is today's verse, is talking about, by service of the absolute truth and the devotees, even for a short time, one becomes fixed in me. After giving up this deplorable world and low-born body, one becomes my associate. And I just wanted to share Srila Prabhupada's purport so that we can read that once and then get into our sloka for today, if that's okay. One second. Let me share it with you on the screen. Okay. Yeah. So by service of the absolute truth, even for a few days, a devotee attains a firm and fixed intelligence in me, and consequently, he goes on to become my associate in the transcendental world after giving up the present deplorable material worlds. Serving the absolute truth means rendering service unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead under the instruction of bona fide spiritual master, who is a transparent medium between the Lord and the neophyte devotee. The neophyte devotee has no ability to approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead by the strength of his present imperfect material senses, and therefore, under the guidance of the spiritual master, he is trained in transcendental service of the Lord. And by such training, even for some days, the neophyte devotee gets intelligence in such transcendental service, which leads him ultimately to get free from the perpetual inhabitation of the material worlds and to be promoted to the transcendental world to become one of the liberated associates of the Lord in the kingdom of Lord. Very, very interesting purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. So I think I was thinking, actually today's theme is more so going to be about the spiritual master, and specifically about Srila Prabhupada and some of the life lessons that we can learn from Srila Prabhupada. So this is what is going to be our today's theme, because the more we develop this hankering and love for our parampara, the more attached we'll be to the parampara, and we will want to follow the instructions of our spiritual master. And again, coming from the disciplic succession, we must definitely understand the glories of our acharyas, and that way we can develop attachment towards them. So this is kind of the theme that I'm going to see in today's class. And without any further ado, we can all get started. All right. All right. So Srila Rupa Goswami in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, he is actually saying the blessings can be transmitted through it can be transmitted through three ways. Okay, one is the darshan, another through mental wishes, and then another through words. So this is how the blessings and spiritual energy of a spiritual master can come to us in our lives, into our heart. Again, I repeat the statement. This is very important for us to deeply imbibe it into our hearts. Rupa Goswami in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, he says that the blessings can be transmitted through just looking at the spiritual master, taking his darshan, or just through his mental wishes or prayers from a distance. And it can also be transmitted through his vani. This is how blessings and spiritual energy of the spiritual master can come into our lives. And it can make a deep imprint on our hearts. All right. So now we have to understand the choice of faith, choice of our faith, our path and dependence on Krishna, is something that we need to focus on. So choice, enthusiasm, conviction, discipline, these are some things that we need to focus on. And we know Srila Rupa Goswami, he talks about it in Upateshamrita. If you look at the third instruction that he's giving us, it is Utsaha, Nishchaya, Dairya, Tat Karma, Pravartanat. Nishchaya is conviction, Dairya, patience, Tat Karma, Pravartanat, all this together is going to give us faith. So there is going to be dependence on Krishna and dependence on the order that comes down from above, right? So this dependence is something that we have to always have. And this will be seen as an example in the life of Srila Prabhupada. So let's understand one by one some important aspects and try to analyze it into the lives of Srila Prabhupada and see how it makes sense. But before that, we'll just go through some things. Before getting into the exact theme, I just want you to say, see some themes, see some related points, okay? So the first quality directly related to the quality of spirit soul, obviously is something that we have talked about in many classes, humility, right? Humility is something that we've talked about very often. So this brings a revolution in our lives, this humility. And the humility obviously comes from faith. Faith, as Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says in Chaitanya Charitamrita, is a conviction on the path. The faith on the path is something that for the faith to be there, we definitely have to start out with Adav Shraddha. And this unshakable belief, actually, it gives you this conviction to say that I can achieve anything. And I don't need anything in exchange for bhakti. No, I'm not going to exchange anything for bhakti. This is the very essence of faith. Very, very important, because once, if our faith is stronger and if it is deeper, if it is strong enough, then obviously there will be conviction. Yes, I can definitely achieve Krishna Prema in this life. I can definitely do that. It is possible by the mercy of our acharyas. This faith is a very, very important component. So according to Bhakti Vinod Thakur, by the sign that I obey the order from above, I have humility. I stop relying on myself. This is what is humility. I rely on the mercy of our superiors. I rely on the mercy that is coming, descending down from the parampara. I actually rely on the mercy of my spiritual master, on the mercy of Lord Krishna, on the mercy of the acharyas, right? On the mercy of sadhana. The very process that the sadhana has been given by our disciplic succession, I rely on that. I rely on the process, and I don't rely on my own strength. This is humility, dear devotees. We always say, right? Trinadapi sunichena tarorapi sahishnuna manina manadina kirtaniya sadaharihi. How can this kirtaniya sadaharihi come into our lives? If we are humble, if we are in a humble state of mind. And for that, whom do I rely on? I rely not on my endeavor. Of course, we put in our endeavor, but we rely on what all I said. We rely on the mercy from above, right? That means we rely on the mercy of our spiritual master. We rely on the mercy of our acharyas. We rely on the mercy of the process that has been given to us. We rely on the sadhana that we are doing, but not my strength. It's not my strength that is giving me the empowerment. This is humility. All right. This is according to Bhakti Vinod Thakura. Again, so we need to understand real faith, real path to greatness begins with the fact that I accept the will from above and I embark on this path. And no one can lead me astray. And this Charanagati, this Charanapati means the subordination of oneself, one's life to a higher goal. We all have a goal and march towards that goal. I accept this goal, this understanding. I subordinate my life to this higher goal, this higher principle, this higher values. This is what is Charanapati. And I'm ready to sacrifice a lot to achieve this goal. My petty interests, my comfort, my well-being, and much more, whatever life has to give me, I'm ready to sacrifice those things for this higher goal that I have in my life. I'm ready to subordinate myself to this higher goal. This is the goal I have. I have only one goal, and I'm fixed in my goal, and everything else subordinates to this goal. Yeah, if I have to sacrifice, yes, I really have to willingly be able to sacrifice. Of course, if you're not in a position to sacrifice, you don't have to. It has to come naturally, and it will come naturally, as I said, when we develop the state of humility, where we stop relying on ourselves. It will definitely come naturally. But till that point, we don't have to artificially put us in a trouble state. No, that's not the intent. All right. So now, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakura, he explains the state of man in a very interesting way in the commentary, in the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. There, Krishna is speaking of faith. He says, faith means unshakable determination and conviction. I embark on this path. I have faith in this path, understanding that this path is going to lead me to the highest goal. And at the same time, may my attachment to the family, be completely destroyed, or vice versa. May there be millions of obstacles in my path to worship Krishna, or let the obstacles be removed by Krishna. No problem. Even if I go to hell for all the offenses I have committed in trying to fulfill my desires, I will never leave bhakti. It doesn't matter if I go to hell or not. It doesn't matter what happens to me. It doesn't matter if there are obstacles or not, or if Krishna removes my obstacles. No matter what, I will never deviate from this path of bhakti. This is conviction from Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakura in the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Specifically, this verse, Shraddhau Drida Nishchaya. All right. So now I think we are trying to see the moves of various acharyas, because so much nectar is given by our acharyas, right? It is, we are so blessed and we are so fortunate, dear devotees. There are so many books to enjoy and relish. Our acharyas, have given us that treasure. This lifetime is not enough to enjoy that treasure. The treasure of shastras. This nectar has to be relished by us. Again, this is possible only when we come in the devotee association. It is not possible if I'm just alone with the four walls. Of course, the virtual devotee association is becoming popular because Corona and all that has created that sort of ambience. But, obviously, when we come together as a group, again, virtually or physically in the temple, that makes a big difference, right? So, the Tushyanti cha Ramanti cha, right? Now, let's come to the life of Srila Prabhupada and see various examples and understand. Of course, these examples, probably some of you might have known already, but again, this is to nourish our heart. So we need to, many pastimes we might have known, but still we have to hanker to hear, right? So this is very important, dear devotees, because with this, what happens is, new realizations come to us, and that is what our acharyas say. So we have to trust and believe in their words for us to get those new realizations. If we do it with a sincere effort, it will definitely happen. Right. So now let's go to the story of Srila Prabhupada. This story is actually told by Bhakti Ujjwala Muni Maharaj. And Bhakti Ujjwala Muni Maharaj is a disciple of one of Srila Prabhupada's brother, Madhusudan Maharaj. And he says that his Guru Maharaj once told him the story. So he tells the story as follows. He says, once in Bombay, many wonderful preachers actually gathered in Gaudiya Math during the time of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakura. And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakura himself was very pleased because they did very good preaching. And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakura, he himself came to Bombay and stayed with them for some time, and he wanted to watch what they were all doing. And at that time in Bombay, in the Bombay Math, lived Sridhar Maharaj, Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj. So in the Bombay Math, there was Madhav Maharaj, Bhakti Daitya Madhav Maharaj, Madhusudan Maharaj, And again, Madhusudan Maharaj, it's believed that he was still a brahmachari, and then Abhay Charana Aravinda Prabhu, which is our Guru Srila Prabhupada. And he says that very often these exalted devotees, they would gather, they will come together, gather and discuss the will of the spiritual master. And everyone, they clearly knew what the will of the spiritual master was. They knew that Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakura wanted everyone to go to West. And by that time, several people from Gaudiya Math, they've already gone to the West in general, but did not achieve impressive success, right? They used to discuss the preaching plans, what needs to be done with each other, and they realized they needed someone to send to the West. This is a very imperative thing, and someone needed to go to Western countries to preach in English. This was the will of the spiritual master, and everybody used to come together as a forum and discuss about obviously what are the preaching plans, what can be done, things like that. And Sridhar Maharaj suggested Madhusudan Maharaj, who was Narottama Das Brahmachari then. So now everyone rejoiced. Yes. Madhusudan Maharaj, actually, he spoke excellent English and he could preach wonderfully. They came up with this idea to Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakura. They came up to him and said, why not? We have decided, we have consulted with each other, and we have decided that Narottama Das Brahmachari is going to go to the West to preach. And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakura beamed. Yes, what a wonderful idea. He preaches so wonderfully. You know what? He speaks great English. Of course, tomorrow we will send him to preach in the West. When the poor brahmachari heard about this, he turned pale. He started to cry. He began to say, Guru Maharaj, what can I do without you? Guru Maharaj, even though, even one thought that I'm going to lose your company, one thought, I will not be able to be without you, listen to you, understand you, drives me crazy. I can't. This is just unbelievable. And he just fainted. He really meant it. He was very terrified. He told about it to himself. He was afraid that he could not carry out the order. And his answer was, Guru Maharaj, don't order me to do that. Please don't order me and tell me you have to go to the West and preach. And he was afraid that if the order would be given, then he will not be able to fulfill the order of the spiritual master. And as a result, what is going to happen to him? It will lead to downfall. And Saraswati Thakura, obviously understanding his mood, he smiled and said, well, don't worry. He calmed him down. But then, as before, the question remains unanswered. Who will go to the West? And again, Sridhar Maharaj came to Srila Prabhupada. Who will go to the West then? And suddenly, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, he said, I know who's going to go to the West. It's going to be our, beloved Guru Maharaj, Abhay Charana Aravinda. He's the one who's going to go. He will certainly succeed. He also preaches and speaks very good English. He looked at the poor brahmachari and said, therefore, there is no trouble for you. The Narottama Das, he looked at Narottama Das Brahmachari and he said, there's no big trouble for you. You will not go. He will go. And then what happened? So Maharaj, he says, he distinctly remembered this incident, and he clearly remembered how Abhay Prabhu gracefully accepted the order. Now, so here this story is illustrated by Maharaj, right? Ujjwal Muni Maharaj, and he says, look at the reaction, difference in reaction. One hand, we have a brahmachari. This person is completely free. There's no entanglement, right? Younger than Srila Prabhupada, of course. In his prime, he was probably around 27 years. And Srila Prabhupada, he was 40 years, if not more, about 40 years old. But gracefully, he accepted the orders of spiritual master. While the other was getting frightened, he was getting afraid, he could not do it. And Ujjwal Muni Maharaj says, the most amazing thing that Abhay Prabhu did this. This is what he says. that years have passed and he is armed with this blessing. So what it means is that, so spiritual master actually gives the strength and power which is sprouted in the heart of a devotee, and he is struck by the blessings of the spiritual master. He was able to do what no one was able to do, despite the fact no one helped him. It is said together, what is said is that with the blessings, I mean, everything comes in the form of a package. The blessings of a great saint, the blessings received, I mean, obviously, whatever blessings that were needed to empower Srila Prabhupada, everything came from above. And he says amazing thing. He says a very, very important point, that he did not depend on anything else in his desire to fulfill the will of the spiritual master. This is a very important point. Nobody helped him. The only thing that he drew strength was the will of the spiritual master. And we are trying to fulfill the will of the spiritual master. And what do we need? We need additional sources of spiritual energy. We need approval from others. We need help from here. We need help from there. Someone does not help us, we give them up. If when someone says badly about somebody, I mean, something about someone, I mean, if somebody says bad thing about us, then we are disappointed. We say, oh yeah, this particular temple, that's not for me. This is our mentality. Again, as I come to the forum, we all have to point out our pitfalls so that we have the mood and courage to show a proper behavior at a later point in time. How Srila Prabhupada is and how this material world with our conditioning is, we definitely have to contrast and understand, right? So what happens? We expect honor. When things go on, when things don't go our way, we give it up. But the point that Muni Maharaj is trying to say is that reckless sacrifice is very rare. Self-sacrifice, reckless self-sacrifice is very rare. It's not a cheap thing. But to take it all very deeply, that is the sadhana. It cannot happen right away. This is what he says about Srila Prabhupada. So again, I repeat this because it's very important what Muni Maharaj says about Srila Prabhupada. His source of strength and blessings is the word of the spiritual master. And such reckless self-sacrifice is very rare, very, very rare. It's not a cheap thing, but to take it very deeply, the will of the spiritual master, that itself is a sadhana. It cannot happen right away. This is the point Muni Maharaj makes about Srila Prabhupada. Again, it was very inspiring for me to hear about Srila Prabhupada, because, I mean, unless we develop this deep desire to develop attachment towards our spiritual master and follow his instructions, we will not be able to perfect our lives, dear devotees. This is very rare. In fact, as soon as we wake up early in the morning, we have to bow down to our feet of the lotus feet of our spiritual master, get his blessings. Only from his blessings we'll have to start our day. We have to start our day getting the blessings from our spiritual master even before chanting our rounds, prescribed rounds. When we get that blessings, everything throughout the day is going to go smoothly, right? That blessings. And because again, we say we don't have taste. We have to actually beg for taste from our spiritual master. The spiritual master is the one who has that taste. That taste, we have to really beg from him, get his mercy that way, and start our day. This is my humble request to all of you. Maybe you can try this particular thing out and tell me how it works out for you. But that is the mood we have to develop, and that is the mood we have to imbibe when we start our day. Now, coming back, as I told you, I wanted to discuss Srila Prabhupada's qualities to get a lot of inspiration, so that we will be able to derive our inspirations and how our disciplic succession has followed some things, and that way we can get more, because it's all real, and it's not only real, but it's not too far off, right? So definitely this inspiration is very recent, and we can see the determination and mood of Srila Prabhupada. So now I'll tell you another story. So it is the submission or conviction to a higher will that is very important, I told you. This is a sign of faith. So when one has such a faith, from time to time, Krishna sends confirmation. Yes, this is a very important aspect. Krishna sends confirmation. But sometimes even a person has a faith, if he commits sin, then it can weaken a little bit. So many obstacles stand our way. Obstacles, they will rise and rise. And sometimes Krishna is going to send us confirmations as to how to act. Okay, so this will definitely be a revelation that time for us as we keep our sadhana intact. As long as we avoid the offenses, then this confirmation from Krishna is going to come in the form of a devotee, in the form of shastras, in the form of our Guru Vargas. It could be anything, but we definitely have to trust. But the point is, we should definitely avoid aparats, because I told you about the effect of aparats in last class and how important it is for us to avoid aparat. So now we are going to actually see how Srila Prabhupada received blessings from Srila Rupa Goswami. So this is a story told by Gopal Chandra Ghosh, a Vrindavan resident who knew Srila Prabhupada during the years Srila Prabhupada was living in Vrindavan after taking sannyas. Very interesting story, dear devotees. So now who's this person, Gopal Chandra Ghosh? He is a Vrindavan resident who knew Srila Prabhupada during the years Srila Prabhupada was living where? In Vrindavan after taking what? Sannyas. Okay, now he is going to tell us the story. He says, I often visited him in the temple of Radha Damodar, and I saw he was always filled with enthusiasm and determination. Sometimes he felt better, sometimes he would feel a little worse. And that one day I came to him, I saw him in a bad state. He was kind of very bad state. I could see by just looking at his face. Obviously, probably he was not feeling well. And then Gopal Chandra Ghosh, he asked Srila Prabhupada, how are you feeling? What's wrong with you? And Srila Prabhupada replied, maybe slight temperature. I think I have fever. It's going to pass though, no problem. Then Gopal Chandra Ghosh became a little worried, and he came to him next day also. And in front of Srila Prabhupada, I mean, obviously he saw Bhaktivedanta Swami, and he says, are you feeling good today? Yes, much better, says Bhaktivedanta Swami. And he said in a very special way. That means he said, I felt much better today. Then Gopal Chandra Ghosh, he began to inquire with him again. Something happened or what? Why are you saying it in a very nice way? I mean, you're very energetic and you feel so enthusiastic, and he just wanted to get some information from Srila Prabhupada to see if there is something else that he wanted to actually share with him. Srila Prabhupada, he didn't want to say anything to Gopal Ghosh. He didn't want to say anything. Okay, so he just, for a long time, he just let it go like that. And Srila Prabhupada smiled and enigmatically told him, tonight, actually, my spiritual master came in my dream. And he encouraged me by saying that you should do what Narottama Das Thakur, Srinivas Acharya, and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakura did. And he says, Swamiji, I mean, obviously, Gopal Chandra Ghosh was very, very anxious to hear that. What is the next statement that Srila Prabhupada is going to tell? So this is one statement. After a long time, actually, Srila Prabhupada said, tonight my spiritual master came in my dream and he instructed me that I should be following the footsteps of Narottama Das Thakur, Srinivas Acharya, and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakura. And now Gopal Chandra Ghosh is actually waiting what else he has to say. So now, so again, he just said one more point. He blessed me and he gave me a lot of strength. I was very, very worried about my comments of Srimad Bhagavatam. Srila Prabhupada was expressing this all happened in my dream. I was very, very disturbed about my comments in Srimad Bhagavatam. And my spiritual master said, just write, and all the 6 Goswamis are going to help you. So Gopal Chandra Ghosh, he was feeling very happy when he heard the statement of Srila Prabhupada, how the spiritual master is giving the revelations to a devotee if the devotee is sincere. And that's why Srila Prabhupada was filled with enthusiasm, determination, hope, and faith. This sort of nourishment comes when we practice Uttama Bhakti, right? Where we have the humility. And again, the humility by Bhaktivinoda Thakur says what? We depend on the mercy of only Krishna, Lord Krishna, not nobody else. We depend on the mercy, from above, from our spiritual master, from our disciplic succession, not in our endeavor. This is humility. So Prabhupada was feeling so elated and happy because even in the dream, he's worried only about the commentary of Bhagavatam. And now when he got the response from the spiritual master saying, yes, you're right. And all the 6 Goswamis are going to come and help you. Okay, so I just thought this was a beautiful instant, how Srila Prabhupada got revelations from the spiritual master in his dream. Now, a very important thing practically that I would like to tell. It is also from the lecture of Srila Prabhupada in the 68th, I think it was 68th anniversary of the disappearance of his spiritual master Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Srila Prabhupada. So now that is the passage that I'm going to talk about. It's a beautiful instruction that we should all contemplate about. The famous passage is often quoted by devotees, but nevertheless, it's very important and profound. And it shows us the concept and the level of intellect, how it is transformed into a unwavering determination. There is little, obviously we all have faith. The strength of faith has to improve over a period of time. That is what is important. That should be our focus. How can we, it could be a weak faith now or a moderate faith, but when can we attain that faith that a Uttama Adhikari has? This should be our thinking process. So now coming back to the passage from Srila Prabhupada's lecture. 32 years later, after the departure of my spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada tells what happened in 1936. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakura passed away in the year December 31, 1936. On the very last day of this year, somewhere in early December, Srila Prabhupada says, today is the 9th of December, which means 32 years ago, I lived in Bombay and he ran his own business. And suddenly, unexpectedly, the same day, I think December 9 or 10, at that time, my Guru Maharaj was ill and I was away. At Jagannath Puri, on the shore, I wrote him a letter. My dear teacher, your other students, like brahmacharis and the sannyasis that you have, these all serve you directly, Guru Maharaj. I'm a family man and I'm not able to live next to you. And therefore, I'm not able to serve you properly. So I don't know how I can help you. I only had one thought. I wanted to serve him. This is what Srila Prabhupada says. And how can I truly serve my spiritual master? How can I truly serve him? This is the only question he had. As a result of contemplating the grace we have received, what we develop is something called conviction, right? On an intellectual level, we develop a desire to serve. And this desire to serve, this desire to do something, it will appear. So now that's what happened to Srila Prabhupada. This desire to serve has appeared. And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakura is going to pass away in the next 20 days. And Srila Prabhupada says, suddenly I had an impulse to write him a letter. See how Krishna gives signals, isn't it? Very, very revealing. I felt it was so revealing how Krishna gave signal to Srila Prabhupada to write to Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakura, not knowing he is going to pass away in 20 days. Who knows when death is going to come to us? Nobody knows, isn't it? Unexpectedly for himself, I wrote him a letter with only one single question. What was that question? What can I do for you? What can I do for you? This is the only question Srila Prabhupada asked. And he said, I'm worthless. I'm nothing. And this impulse to serve, Hare Krishna, some sound is coming. I'm not sure if somebody is on. Okay. Thank you. So that was the only question he had. And this impulse to serve appears in the intellect. And that's what happened with Srila Prabhupada. So that's the point. We have to have the desire to serve. At some point, this desire to serve will spontaneously come to us. And he says the answer came unexpectedly, quickly, labeled what date? December 13th. In this letter, Guru Maharaj wrote, dear so-and-so, Abhay Charana Ravind. So obviously he called out Srila Prabhupada. He said, I was very happy to receive your letter. I think you should try to go to the West to preach to the English-speaking people. It was written by his hand. Srila Prabhupada is making a very important point to say it was written by his hand. And he says, it will benefit you and those people who will help you in this. He gave me such instructions. Then on December 31st, he left this world. So the letter was written to him 2 weeks before leaving. That is what, and Srila Prabhupada took the instruction of his spiritual master very, very, very seriously, although he did not understand what it meant. Because at that time he was a family man. Krishna, he comes to rescue Srila Prabhupada. If he honestly tried to serve our spiritual master, his will, then Krishna will provide the opportunity for this. This is the secret of success. All we need to do is just have the desire. With desire, action will definitely follow. Although at that time, Srila Prabhupada has no opportunities. He could not even imagine how this was going to be feasible. Now imagine if an order comes to you from your spiritual master, what is going to be our first reaction? Guru Maharaj, you don't understand my situation. He doesn't know what I need to do. I think he misunderstood what I'm doing slightly, I believe. Srila Prabhupada didn't give any excuses like this. Srila Prabhupada didn't say, oh, he didn't understand I was not a family man. I was a family man. He didn't understand I'm here in Bombay trying to run my business. Probably this instruction is meant for somebody else. He didn't think like that. Srila Prabhupada took his words very, very, very seriously, even though there is no opportunity for it. This is the important point. Even though there is no opportunity, you cannot see any opportunity. Yes, I have money, I have this cargo ship ready, I have somebody going, and I have some arrangements in the West. Nothing like that. He couldn't see any opportunity before him. It was completely blank. And Krishna comes to rescue for such kind of devotees if they have the desire to fulfill the order of the spiritual master. Although there was no possibility, Srila Prabhupada took his words very, very seriously. And then this was further instigated when he happened to read Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakura's commentary in Bhagavad Gita. What is that commentary? What is that Srila Prabhupada read, which actually made him to come to the West? What is that statement of Srila Prabhupada? What is the statement from Bhagavad Gita? Which particular verse is Srila Prabhupada contemplating about now to get to the West? It is Vyavasayatmika Buddhir Ekeha Kurunandana 2.41, right? Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakura, very, very important, dear devotees. What is those specific words that Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakura writes, which actually instigated the desire of Srila Prabhupada to come to the West? The words, so what does Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakura write? He says, the words of the spiritual master should be taken as the greatest treasure in our life. The spiritual master's instructions, the specific instructions of the spiritual master must be strictly followed, no matter what the cost. And important point, Srila Prabhupada often said that reading his commentary in the sense is a turning point in his life. For many people, many things can act as a turning point. We really don't know. So he said, this is the turning point for me. these sentences, again I repeat, the words of my spiritual master, the words of the spiritual master should be taken as a treasure in our life. The specific instructions of the spiritual master should be strictly followed no matter what. Whatever the cost is, don't worry about it. No, it has to be followed. These words instigated Srila Prabhupada. Again, we read and we must understand that these words are directly addressed to us. It's for us, dear devotees. So this, the determination or inner conviction actually appears as a result of this. It is something that has to happen in our mind as a result of reading the words of our spiritual master or hearing the Vani of our spiritual master. Something is happening, something should happen into our hearts at that moment. And then determination comes. After that, what happens now? Once you have this determination, the point is everything else is done by Krishna. It's just the desire, the determination to actually come forward and say, I want to fulfill this will of the spiritual master. I want to execute this instruction of the spiritual master. And then you start contemplating about the instruction that our spiritual master has given us. And then what happens? Krishna takes it from there. He makes our journey easier. He makes the impossible possible. Krishna will do the rest. That is what Srila Prabhupada says. We don't have to do anything. The only thing we need to do is have the determination appear inside. And Krishna will come to rescue. So now Srila Prabhupada says, Krishna gave me the opportunity to serve him. At such an young age, I came to this country and trying to understand the meaning. I mean, obviously I didn't know anything. The move, Krishna then took it forward and he took care of the rest. On the day my spiritual master passes away, he says, just 2 weeks before, I have something for you, Srila Prabhupada. You have to go to the West and fulfill, go to the West and preach in the West. This is my spiritual master's order. Just 2 weeks before he left. And you know what? I can also leave any moment, Srila Prabhupada. I'm an old person already. So I have to right now fulfill the order of the spiritual master. So, so we need to understand that determination has to come to us. And after that, Krishna takes it forward. So I thought this was a very, very pleasant incident that Srila Prabhupada shared with us during the disappearance day of the spiritual master. So it was very close to his heart, and that is why he revealed this big secret to all of us. And I thought this was very interesting. And since today's theme talked about spiritual master and the instructions of following the orders of the spiritual master, I thought it was very relevant for us to discuss it in today's forum. And hence I brought forth some of the stories which were very close to my heart. And I wanted to share that with you so we all can derive inspiration from our acharyas and our Guru Vargas. And obviously that is what is needed to enhance our faith. So the strength of faith has to increase, and whatever it takes for us to increase the strength of faith is what we need to do as devotees. Thank you so much for patiently listening to me. I appreciate all your time. And obviously, speaking is easy, but listening is tough. But thank you for being sincere devotees, always eager to hear. So I derive so much inspiration from all of you all. Thank you so much. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Panchakalpatarubhyasya kripa sindhubhye vacha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Anantakoti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Mataji, for this wonderful class. Are there any questions or comments for Mataji at the moment?
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat Pranam, Lakshmi Mataji.
Wonderful, wonderful class, and the way you said Muni Maharaj story to us and the reckless self-sacrifice that Prabhupada did for all of us, and Gopala Chandra Ghosh. I have heard so many times of Radha Damodar instance. He cried so much in that Samadhi before he started. So it's so inspiring to hear again back from you, so that we will do even more bhakti and we will bring even more the strength of the faith. You said that we should improve. And how shall I serve you? So what a chapter actually in Prabhupada Lilamrita. And I heard even Prabhupada said to Sridhar Maharaj when they were staying in Mayapur, in the Devananda Saraswati Mat, which is just above his floor of home. He was telling, come on, Sridhar Maharaj, you are preaching many people, so why can't you go to West, or why can't you preach in English? And he felt so shy. So our Prabhupada, without any shyness, with all spiritual masters' blessing, he just took so much risk for all our fallen souls like me to at least uplift to some level. So wonderful. Thanks for bringing so much information and so much facts actually, which are so digged up. And we are taking all other scientific, technological information daily over the magazine and the webs. But these kind of information is not scattered around as much possible. But our movement with all Shiksha Gurus like you are bringing up so much information outside daily, which along with the material information, we are hearing all these. Actually, these are all the actual information that we want for this soul to glow. We don't need other material things. So thanks for bringing up all this information. I think you should be busy enough, but you are bringing all these details to us to improve us more in bhakti and bringing us the determination and giving the strength in bhakti to maybe live for the next 1 week with full of what to say, like you are keeping us going. Thank you so much for your dedication, Mataji. Thanks for your mercy to bring us all these details. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. First of all, very, very happy to see you in person. This is the first time I'm seeing you. Very nice, Mataji. Really good to see you, and thank you for that darshan. It's a pleasant surprise to me, and I'm really blessed to have your association. Your taste for hearing is so nice. It has to be contagious so that all of us get that taste to hear Krishna Katha, because you just go from one to another. So this is the hankering that we have to develop. Looking at Lakshmi Mataji, I definitely derive a lot of inspiration from her. Definitely a great role model to have, and thank you so much, Mataji. I mean, I'm just your servant, and as I said, I'm very blessed to be in the association, to the movement. And these devotees here are so sincere that they don't even miss a day of Srimad Bhagavatam. And so they finished Bhagavad Gita, and now we are doing Bhagavatam. But very, very inspiring again to be with such sincere devotees around. So thank you, Mataji, for the beautiful points, and the quick summary that you gave definitely helped all of us. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. I have one question, if time permits.
Yes. No.
You said sadhana deha and siddha deha. But I think in the last week, I think to as much I have heard, I think nobody said about it. So if you could give a quick point about that, that would be great. Yes. Though we can make some statement about it, sadhana deha and siddha deha. From the words, I'm able to get the meaning, but if you could give a quick overview, that would be great. Thank you, Mataji.
Sure, Mataji. So what happens is when devotees elevate, so they are able to get the perfection in this life, having this material body. So with the material body, they have material duties that they need to perform. And so they are involved in the normal day-to-day activities, even in the devotional life with this material body. So with the advanced person, what happens is that he is revealed his spiritual constitutional position. So when he's revealed his spiritual constitutional position, then he is able to meditate on that in his Siddha Deha. He is able to do those activities, what he will be doing in the spiritual world, in the relationship that he has with the Lord, he will be able to meditate upon it by having his Siddha Deha. So this is what happens with an advanced devotee like Narada Muni. Hope that helped, Mataji.
Yes, Mataji. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Thank you. Very sincere, attentive listening, because that was just mentioned in one statement, but you carefully noted it down. Great. Any other questions, dear devotees? Prahlad Prabhu, are you doing okay? I don't know if you were not
Yes.
the one.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Somebody had COVID. I just heard that statement, but I didn't understand who had that. But okay, somebody is not well in this group.
I believe so. I joined in when it was being
Oh, okay.
discussed. I'm
Okay.
not so sure who it is.
Okay, okay. But anyways, my prayers for that devotee, whoever is suffering, so that you may be able to recover soon and perform your devotional service with utmost care. Thank you. You can take over, Prahlad Prabhu.
Are there any more questions or comments for Grace Radhika Kasturi Mataji before we end the session? If there are no questions or comments, then there's something in the chat.
Oh, Avinash
Okay,
Prabhu, Prabhu is not feeling well. So we can all chant for him and maybe he can recover soon. And that way, Avinash Prabhu, I know he doesn't even miss a class. It's very, very serious in attending all the sessions of Bhagavatam. So, and he always gives beautiful remarks. Thank you, Prabhuji. I didn't know it was you. Really sorry to hear, but I definitely pray, and all of us here are going to pray for your speedy recovery. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. If there are no more questions and or comments, I believe we can end this session now. So first, I would like to start off by thanking Her Grace Radhika Kasturi Mataji for giving us this wonderful class today and giving us an insight to Srila Prabhupada's life as well. You know, it's a very good example when when people quote from Srila Prabhupada's life, because it just shows the determination he had to get us to where we are right now. And we are very grateful for that. So thank you, Mataji, for giving us this wonderful nectar. And I would also like to thank the devotees as well for joining in and taking some time out of their busy schedules to listen to Her Grace Radhika Kasturi Mataji. So on behalf of ISKCON Eldoret, I would like to thank you, Mataji, for joining in and giving us this class. I would like to kindly request all the devotees assembled to please unmute yourselves and let's chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra once for Her Grace Radhika Kasturi Mataji.
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare. And
Vancha
also
Kalpatarubhasya kripa
Devachan Patitanam
Patitanam
Pavane
Vaishnavebhyo
Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha.
Now, I would also like to kindly request all the devotees to please chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra once more for the speedy recovery of His Grace Avinash Prabhu. Hare Krishna,
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna Krishna,
Hare
Hare Rama,
Hare
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Srila Prabhupada ki.
Jai.
Her Grace Radhika Kasturi Mataji ki.
Jai.
all
Jai,
glories to
Jai.
the assembled devotees.
Jai.
Krishna Vindikich.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. See you all next week. Hare Krishna.
Thank you,
Hare
Mataji.
Krishna.
Thank you. Hare
Krishna.
Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prahlad Prabhu, for stepping in for me. Thank you, Arya Govind Prabhu, for stepping in for me as well. Hare Krishna.